We know that food, water, and oxygen are vital for the survival of all living organisms on the earth. Developed organisms like humans and flowering plants have a well organized transport system within themselves. This system is used to move important substances from one part of the body to another. This system is called the vascular system.
The vascular system consists of different kinds of tubes which carry different fluids with its contents of important substances. The vascular system is driven by a force that keeps the fluids in motion. In higher plants, xylem and phloem form the vascular system. In higher animals, the circulatory system heart is the principal component of vascular system. Transport of substances in plants. Different flowering plants, herb, shrub and trees draw water from soil through their roots. Many of the outer cells at the root extend to form root hairs. The root hairs absorb water along with dissolved minerals and transport it to the leaves through xylem part of vascular system. Leaves are known as the food factories. Food is prepared here by the process of photosynthesis. The raw materials required are water from soil, carbon dioxide from atmosphere, chlorophyll present in leaves, sunlight from the sun.
Food that is prepared in the leaves is in the form of glucose. It is converted into a soluble sugar and transported through phloem to storage organs like seeds, fruits, stem and root. Thus xylem and phloem are present as vascular system in plants throughout their body, that is from roots to leaves covering the stem and the branches.
Tissue, a group of cells mostly of similar type performing specialized function. Group of tissues makes an organ. Xylem and phloem are example of plant tissue. Examples of animal tissue are connective tissue and muscular tissue. Conduction of water and minerals through xylem, the process by which water and mineral salts are transported from xylem of root and carried upward to the stem, branches and leaves, is called ascent of sap. There are two important forces responsible for the uptake of water and minerals in plants, one arising from the roots and the other by the leaves from the top. The mode of transport in different kinds of plants, herbs, shrubs and trees is almost the same. Let us find out how the two kinds of forces operate. 1. Root pressure. The roots of a plant are in indirect contact with water in the soil. The branching nature of root hairs provide a large surface area for absorption of water and mineral salts. Root cells contain large vacuoles filled with a fluid, the cell sap. The cell sap has a higher concentration of salt than the soil water. Such a feature enables the root hair cells to draw water from soil through a process known as osmosis. The continuous absorption of water by root hairs built up sufficient force to push the water upwards through the xylem vessels.
Xylem. These are complex tissues composed of more than one type of cells. They consist mainly of dead elements, tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers and a living element, xylem parenchyma.
2. Transpiration pull. The loss of water from the aerial parts of plants in the form of water vapors is known as transpiration. Water evaporates through stomata, the tiny pores present on leaf surfaces. When water is lost from the leaves, either due to transpiration or consumed in the process of photosynthesis, the water column becomes greatly stretched and creates a pull. The continuity of water column does not break due to the forces operating between the water molecules and also between the water molecules and the wall of the xylem vessels. The transpiration pull is sufficient to raise water in leaves of the tallest trees. Thus, due to combined effect of push force due to root pressure and pull force due to respiration by leaf cells, water moves upward along the xylem vessel. Osmosis. This is a psychological process taking place when two solutions having different concentrations are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. A semi-permeable membrane is one that allows only water molecules to pass through. The movement of water molecules takes place across the membrane from a dilute solution to a concentrated solution. This process enables cell-to-cell movement of water in the root cells after it is absorbed from the soil by the root hairs. Thus, water finally reaches the xylem of root.
Conduction of prepared food through phloem. Food prepared by the green leaves by the process of photosynthesis needs to be sent to storage organs and other parts of the plant body. The process by which it takes place is known as translocation of prepared food. Special type of vascular tissues, the phloem is responsible for carrying the prepared food to all parts of the plant.
Phloem. This is a complex tissue consisting of living elements, sieve tube, companion cells, phloem, parenchyma, and a dead element, phloem fibers. These are continuous vessels from leaves to other parts of the plant. Transport of substance in animals. In the lower animals like amoeba and paramecium, where the single cell does the function of the entire organism, food and oxygen are transported throughout the body by the simple process of diffusion. Simplest multicellular forms like hydra and sponges have openings on the body surface through which water enters in carrying food and oxygen. The waste products like carbon dioxide and undigested food particles are excreted out of the body from these openings along with water. Such animals do not require any circulatory fluid to transport materials, nor do they have a proper vascular system. In complex multicellular organisms like humans, diffusion becomes inadequate as a means for distribution of materials like CO2, nutrients, and oxygen in the body. These materials have to travel a long distance within the body, so there is a special transport system, a circulatory system, to carry the materials from one part of the body to the other. There are three components of this transport system: blood, heart, and blood vessels. Circulatory system in humans, blood and its components. When you are wounded or get a cut on the surface of your skin, you see blood oozing out. Blood is a type of tissue that is fluid in nature. It flows through tubes called blood vessels. Blood is made up of billions of tiny cells floating in a watery liquid called plasma. Blood transports many substances which are required for different functions in the body. These are 1. Nutrients to be carried to all the body cells. 2. Oxygen to be transported to all cells for respiration. 3. Blood clotting chemicals to repair the injured parts of body. 4. Antibodies to kill germs.
5. Chemical messengers called hormones to control and regulate the activities in our body.
6. Taking away waste products to parts of the body from where they are removed. There are 3 types of blood cells in human blood: the red blood cells RBCs, white blood cells WBCs, and platelets. Red blood cells are very small in shape, like biconcave disc. Each of these cells contains a red-colored iron pigment, the hemoglobin. This pigment holds on to oxygen molecules after they are taken from the lungs and transports it to all the body cells. It is because of hemoglobin that blood appears red in color. White blood cells are slightly larger than red blood cells and are irregular in shape. They are fewer in number and are able to move on their own like amoeba. They have a specific role in the body's defense. They protect the body against diseases caused by microorganisms that enter our body. Hence, they're an important part of our immune system. The white blood cells can pass easily through the walls of blood vessels and reach the infected parts of the body. They either ingest the foreign materials like bacteria and viruses or produce special protein substances, the antibodies, that protect us from infections.
Platelets are smaller than red blood cells and help in clotting of blood. You might have got cuts or wounds on your body while playing or while handling sharp objects like knife. Blood oozes out of the cut but stops after some time. This is because the leaking wound is sealed by forming thick dark red lumps or blood clot. Clotting involves complex series of chemical reactions.
Blood vessels. These are a network of tubes which transport blood away from the heart and towards the heart. These blood vessels are of three types. Blood vessels: arteries, veins, capillaries. Arteries carry oxygenated blood from the heart to different parts of our body. Veins carry deoxygenated blood back to our heart, which is pumped to the lungs for oxygenation. Capillaries connect arteries and veins. Let us compare the arteries and veins. The space inside a blood vessel gets smaller as the blood vessels divide into finer branches. In capillaries, the space is so small that only one blood cell can pass through it. Capillaries are thin-walled, about as thin as one of your hair, so diffusion of gases and chemical substances take place very easily. Capillaries supply nutrients and oxygen to every cell of the body. Blood in the capillary also collects carbon dioxide and other waste from the cells. Capillaries join together at the opposite end to form veins. Veins carry blood that carries carbon dioxide and other waste back to the heart. Donate blood. Hospitals have blood banks where blood can be temporarily stored before it is given to patients. Every healthy person over 18 years of age must donate blood to the blood banks so that it can be given to sick persons during emergencies of accidents or operations. Donated blood must be treated carefully and kept in proper storage. Heart. The human heart is a hollow, highly muscular structure. It is about the size of our fist. It is located in the center of the chest cavity in between two lungs, with its lower conical and slightly tilted towards the left. The human heart works tirelessly from the moment it begins to beat in the mother's womb until it stops at death. In an average human lifetime, the heart beats 25,000,000,000 times, which is 2.5 billions. The heart is made of cardiac muscle and has two sets of pumping chambers lying side by side. Each set is made of smaller upper chamber, the atrium, and longer and more muscular lower chamber, the ventricle. In total, the human heart has 4 separate chambers. The atria are thin-walled and receive blood from the body parts. The ventricles are thick-walled and pump blood out of the heart. The right side of the heart is completely separated from the left by a partition called septum. This helps to prevent mixing up of oxygenated blood in the left side of the heart from the deoxygenated blood in the right side. Moreover, there are valves between the atria and ventricles. These valves open to let blood flow into the ventricles but shut as soon as the ventricles are filled with blood. This prevents a backward flow of blood from ventricles to atria. The right side of the heart is completely separated from the left by a partition called septum. This helps to prevent mixing up of oxygenated blood in the left side of the heart from the deoxygenated blood in the right side. Moreover, there are valves between the atria and ventricles. These valves open to let blood flow into the ventricles but shut as soon as the ventricles are filled with blood. This prevents a backward flow of blood from ventricles to atria. Working of the heart. The heart works in a rhythmic fashion. A. Blood is received in the upper chambers. 1. Deoxygenated blood in right atrium from different parts of body. 2. Oxygenated blood in left atrium from different parts of body after purification from lungs. B. When a wave of contraction starts, the blood is pushed into ventricles of respective side. Then the ventricles contract simultaneously. 1. Blood from right ventricle is sent to lungs for oxygenation. 2. Oxygenated blood from left ventricle is sent to different parts of the body. You must remember that at no time any chamber is empty. By the time ventricles pump out blood, the atria are filled, and by the time atria are filled, ventricles are empty only to be filled again. Heartbeat. The rhythmic contraction and relaxation of heart is called heartbeat. The contraction phase is systole and the relaxation phase is known as dystole. Heartbeat is a continuous process occurring throughout our life. This ensures that blood is always flowing around our body. The normal human heartbeat is about 70 to 72 per minute. However, our level of activity can change the speed of heartbeat. When you are asleep, your heart beats about 50 to 70 times. If you are doing exercise, it can increase to nearly 200 beats per minute. Feel your heartbeat. If you place your ear on your friend's chest to the left side, you can hear a thumping sound. These sounds are heartbeats. You must have seen doctors using an instrument, the stethoscope, to listen to the heartbeat. It consists of a chest piece connected to a tube. The tube bifurcates at the other end and is joined to two earpieces. The first heartbeat sound is low pitch, lub, followed by second sound of heartbeat with high pitch, dub.
William Harvey
1578 to 1657 was an English physician who was the first to describe correctly the details of blood circulation and the properties of blood being pumped around the body by heart. He proposed that blood flowed through the heart in two separate closed loops. One loop connected the circulatory system to the lungs, the second loop caused blood to flow to vital organs. He also observed that the blood in veins would move readily towards the heart, but veins would not allow flow in the opposite direction. In 1628, Harvey published an anatomical study of the motion of the heart and the blood in animals, which explained how blood was pumped from the heart throughout the body, then returned to the heart and recirculated. Pulse and pulse rate. Every time the left ventricles pump blood into the arteries with force, a wave of expansion passes away from the heart along the arteries. This wave can be felt as pulses where blood vessels run over a bone or other firm tissues. The rhythmic throbbing movement due to blood flowing in the arteries is called pulse. Pulse rate is number of pulse beats per minute. The pulse rate is the same as the rate of heartbeat, that is 70 to 72 per minute. The most convenient place to feel pulse is the wrist. It can also be felt in the neck, the ankle, and the top of the foot. A rhythmic strong pulse tells the doctor that your heart is working well. Excretion in animals. As a result of everyday metabolic activities in animal body, many waste products are produced. These products, if allowed to accumulate within the body, would prove toxic and eventually result in the death of the organism. The waste thus need to be removed from the body. Some of the waste are carbon dioxide, water, urea, salt, and uric acid. The process of removal of metabolic waste from the body is known as excretion. Different animals have evolved mechanisms of excretion depending upon the type of environment they live in. The simple aquatic unicellular animals like amoeba do their waste disposal by the process of diffusion. The excretory organs of fish are gills and kidneys. The highly permeable gills have large surface area for efficient exchange of oxygen and CO2 from water. The gills are also organs of excretion of nitrogenous substance in the form of ammonia. Freshwater fish also produce large volume of diluted urine. This is important because a lot of water keeps entering the body of freshwater fish by osmosis. Birds, reptiles, and terrestrial insects excrete nitrogenous waste in the form of uric acid. Uric acid is non-toxic. It is excreted as thick white pellets. This enables the animals to conserve water. Human beings and other land-living mammals excrete urea as a nitrogenous waste product. It is done by excretory system, of which kidney is an important organ. The excretory system in humans. The main organs of excretion in humans are the kidneys, skin, liver, and lungs. You have learnt in chapter 10 how carbon dioxide from blood is collected by alveoli in lungs and given out during exhalation. The kidney. Urinary system in humans. The kidneys are the main organs of excretion through which nitrogenous metabolic waste are eliminated out of the body in the form of urine. They form part of a system known as urinary system. This system has four main parts. Kidneys. Two bean-shaped reddish-brown kidneys located on either side of the vertebral column just above the waist. Ureters. Two tubes, the ureters passing out from each kidney. Urinary bladder. A muscular sac-like structure where urine is stored temporarily. The two ureters open into this sac, the urinary bladder. Its outlet is close-tied by a ring of muscles or sphincter. Urethra. A short muscular tube, the urethra leads from urinary bladder to outside. The opening of urethra is guarded by a sphincter muscle. It relaxes at the time of urination. An adult human passes about 1.5 to 2.5 liters of urine every day. Artificial kidney. Deceased kidney may not be able to remove waste from the blood. Waste built up in the blood and tissues can eventually be fatal. In such a case, the blood is filtered using an artificial kidney machine. Blood from a blood vessel, usually an artery in the arm, is taken out of the body along a plastic tube to the machine. A membrane in the machine filters waste out of the blood. The clean blood flows back along another vein in the same arm and into the body again. This whole process is called kidney dialysis. Each kidney contains about 1 million tiny filter units called nephrons. These lie around the outside of the kidney. The nephrons filter out excess water, salts, and urea from the blood as it passes through. The clean blood leaves the kidney and continues its circulation in the body. The waste filtered by the kidney from urine that passes from the kidneys through ureters, urinary bladder, and finally excreted from the body through urethra. Why do we sweat? When we are hot, sweat glands are stimulated, releasing the sweat over the skin. The sweat then evaporates and cools us off. The body is thus kept at its normal temperature, which is 37 degrees Celsius. If we did not sweat, we could suffer from heat stroke in hot weather. Sweating responds to our emotional state as well. When we are nervous, anxious, or afraid, we sweat, particularly on palms of our hand, and feel a cold sweat. Why do we need to drink water? As water makes up 60% to 70% of our total body weight, drinking water is needed to balance the loss of water from body through excretion, respiration, and perspiration. Water is also needed to carry out other body functions like digestion and circulation. It is important to drink approximately 2 liters of water each day in order to replenish the lost fluids. If we do not compensate for the water loss, our body would not be able to survive. Thirst is a warning sign of water deficiency in our body. In extreme case, our body may suffer from dehydration with symptoms of headache, tiredness, muscle weakness, and dizziness. So we must follow the basic nutritional advice of drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water per day. The skin. The skin is richly supplied with blood vessels. The process of sweating is due to presence of small structure in our skin known as sweat glands. An adult has about 2 to 5 million sweat glands spread across the body under the skin surface. As blood flows in capillaries near the skin, water, salt, and urea diffuse out from the blood into sweat glands. These waste then leave the body as sweat through tiny pores in the skin. As sweat evaporates, it helps to keep our body cool in summers. The liver. Liver is the body's largest gland. It is a lobe structure lying just below the lungs. It also receives water and unwanted substance which it reroutes for disposal. The human body does not store extra amino